Good evening, everyone. Tonight almost didn't happen. Last night we were able to go celebrate Sean as he's getting ready to get married. We had a little bachelor thing for him, bachelor party. And we were out at the Pruitts, and we just had a good time. It was we had those big bouncy balls that you get into. You run into each other, hurt each other, have fun. That didn't take me out. We went out onto the lake, and we were on the little pontoon float, and we were going along having our time with the alligators, and all the little fishies, and that's not what almost took me out. If you've ever had Miss Kathy's snickerdoodles, after about 2 dozen yourself, you want to go into a sugar coma and never wake up. Then we're really appreciative of the Pruitts, even though Robin's not here, for letting us host that. We had a great time, and congratulations to Sean and April coming up. But tonight, I brought a lesson that came to me when I was driving along, listening to music, carpool karaoke, you know how it goes. Everybody sings in their car, whether they accept it or not. The song by a group called the Plain White Tees. They're most known for their song, Hey There Delilah, probably. But they made a song called The Giving Tree. And it's about a boy who loves a girl. The girl loves him back enough to keep him around, but the boy, he's head over heels. He'll do anything for the girl. And over time, this girl's looking for something that she's just not finding. And the boy, still deeply in love, is willing to give her whatever because he loves her. And it's, not to quote it, but it relates to the book The Giving Tree by Shel Silverstein. A beautiful little children's book that probably has a way deeper meaning than I ever thought reading it in kindergarten. It's about a tree that loves a little boy. And the boy comes to this tree and they play and he eats her apples. He takes her leaves and he becomes the king of the forest. He plays on her branches, he climbs her trunk. When he's tired, he sleeps under her shadow. But over time, the boy gets older and he doesn't have time for these childish games. And one day he comes to her, the tree, comes to the tree and says, I need something more. I want to buy stuff. I want to live my life. I want to have a good time. But I need money. Can you give me some money, tree? The tree says, I have no money, but take my apples. Sell them in the city. Go buy stuff. Go live your life. Be happy. And the tree was happy. Some time later, the man comes back. He says, I want a family. I want some more. The money wasn't enough. I need a home. Can you give me a home, tree? The tree says, can't give you a home. The forest is my house. But take my branches. Take my branches, build yourself a home, have a family, be happy. The boy left, and the tree was happy. Not really. Because after some time, the boy comes back, asking for more. I got to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. I need something more. I got to get away from here. So the tree says, take my trunk, build a boat, sail away. And the boy did. And the tree was happy. But the tree was starting to lose its life. Sometime later, old man comes by, and the tree says, I've got nothing more to give. You ate all my apples. You used my trunks to build the boat. You used my branches to build a home. What more? I can't give you anymore. The old man says, I'm too old. I have no teeth to eat an apple. My home is gone. I've gone away and I've come back. I've got nothing more. I just need a place to rest. So the little trunk that was left, the little stump and roots, strained itself as much as it could. The boy sat. The boy was happy. And the tree was happy. It's a beautiful story. A lot of his poems are very deep meaning. And I love the story of the giving tree. And there are times where, if I could be honest with y'all, I felt like the giving tree. Certain people would ask me for something and I'd give it to them, or they'd ask me to go somewhere at 2 a.m. to change a tire. You know what? If you need me, I'll be there. There are times where I felt like the giving tree because they would ask and there would be no return, not even a thank you sometimes. And it's not like I'm asking for the world. I'm not asking for my name in lights. I'm not asking for $1 million. But it would be nice. It'd be cool. It looks awesome, doesn't it, I'm not asking for the world, but it's hard sometimes when you're working so hard, giving everything you got, and sometimes it's hard to give that little bit more. And there are times where, I thought my path was going the wrong way, and I thought what I deserved for everything I was doing wasn't coming to me. If I can tell y'all a little story about myself, all these times I come up here and talk, I never tell y'all about myself. Middle school, I went to Howard right down the road. 8th grade year, I was on top of the world. I was the cool kid. Everybody knew me. I was riding that wave of popularity. It was awesome. There was no knocking me down. Come my 8th grade year, they asked everybody to go to 2 different areas. If you were going to Boone High School, you went to the auditorium. If you're going to Edgewater, you went to the library. You're going to pick your classes. Now me, riding this wave, nothing can go wrong in my life. I've done everything right, I went to every youth event. I traveled and I did to stayed in people's houses for all these youth events. I went to Clean the World, if y'all ever heard of that. They gave me dirty, hairy soap and I scraped it clean and they went and recycled it. I gave my time, I gave everything. I thought I deserved, a little happiness every now and again. And me and my boys on top of the world, we're all going to Boone. There's nothing separating us. I'm going to have the best life, It's going to be great. I go to the auditorium. Daniel, what are you doing here? You're not going to Boone. You're going to Edgewater. Man, my life was shattered. All my boys, they're all going to Boone. Everybody's leaving me. So I go to this scary place called Edgewater High School. It's not that bad, I promise. But I was alone. I didn't know anybody. I felt like something was missing. I didn't deserve this. I was on my path to being the first president to be in the NBA and NFL. There was no stopping me. I was going to Boone. Somehow I was going to make it to Florida State and be the starting quarterback and starting shooting guard. I don't know how it was going to work. I was going to do it, though. It was going to happen. Now, you see me now. I'm not running for president anytime soon, but I could. I might. You never know. But I was riding this wave, and then it came crashing down on me because reality started to check in that you don't always get what you want in life. And your path, no matter how much you give and think you need to be rewarded, your path isn't what you want, it's what you need. And I didn't see that. I didn't see the bigger picture. So I spent my 2 years at Edgewater. And not that it was a terrible time. I joined the marching band. I got to go travel to some pretty cool places. I played some pretty cool performances, and I made some friends, but it wasn't that feeling that I had before. After 2 years, I got the opportunity to go to this new school called Mount Dora Christian Academy, home of the Bulldogs. Boy, I was scared out of my mind. I was going out to Mount Dora, 45 minutes away, again to another place where I didn't know anybody but Jacob. Jacob and I were going to a world that we didn't know. I knew a few people from camp, but it wasn't what I knew. And that's when the blessings started to open up my eyes a little bit. You see, I come to this school, a couple hundred kids, and I meet some people who would change my life forever. Now, I was going to shout out 2 people. I dressed in this coat because Brother Tony always dresses up, and I wanted to outdress him for once. He didn't make it to be my song leader. It's all right. And then Miss Johnson, who was one of my teachers out at Edgewater. Those 2 probably 2 very influential people for me who got me up here to do this speaking thing that I do. Brother Tony's tough love and Lads to Leaders shaped me to open the door to being able to speak. But then going to this little school, Mount Dora, and meeting Miss Ushanda Johnson, where she whipped me into shape with love, tender kindness, whatever you want to call it, Southern hospitality. But man, did she break down that door that Brother Tony opened and made me able to speak. Not that I couldn't speak, but nervousness. The blessings that I received going to Mount Dora never would have happened if I didn't if things didn't happen the way they happened. And I always thought about it, that I gave so much, I deserved so much. It was a very selfish way of thinking. Now let me tell you about two guys in the Bible who gave a little bit more than they needed to. In Genesis, we read of Noah. We all know of the story of Noah's Ark in Genesis chapter 6. I'm not going to go and read the 13 verses. But God saw evil in the world, and he couldn't bear to look at it. And with not much good, he said, I got to wipe this out. And there's this guy with a family named Noah. He says, Noah, go ahead and build me this ark. I'm going to get these animals on there, and we're going to save your family. In a world that never seen this rain stuff or water coming from the ground, people must have thought he was crazy. And to be building this big old boat, everybody telling you, what are you doing, man? Well, who's this God that told you to do it? Why isn't he talking to us right now? Noah did it anyways. He gave his all. He built that boat. He got on, spent 40 days on this flood, sent out the raven, sent out the first dove, came back, nothing. Sent out the dove again, came back with the olive branch. And the third time, that dove didn't come back, and he knew it was safe. Noah was blessed. He restarted all of humanity. It was amazing. That covenant that God gave to Noah in Genesis chapter 9, we'll read it. Starts in verse 1, it says, So God blessed Noah and his sons, and said to them, Be fruitful and multiply, and fill the earth. And the fear of you and the dread of you shall be on every beast on the earth, on every bird of the air, and all that move on the earth. And on all the fish of the sea they are given into your hand. Every moving thing that lives shall be food for you. I have given you all things, even as the green herbs. But you shall not eat flesh with its life that is blood. And then we'll skip down to verse 8. Then God said to Noah and his sons with him, saying, And as for me, behold, I establish my covenant with you, and with your descendants after you, and with every living creature that is with you, the birds, the cattle, every beast of the earth with you, and all that go out of the ark, every beast of the earth. Thus I establish my covenant with you. Never again shall the flesh be caught up by my waters of the flood. Never again shall there be a flood to destroy the earth. And we do know this covenant to be the rainbow, that every time we see it, we know God's not going to do that to us again. And living in the hurricane capital of the world, I couldn't imagine what that would be like. I get scared on a Category 3. I can't imagine what a Category 79 would be. But this covenant blesses us even today. Noah's work was hard, and he was rewarded with life. But at the end of the day, God's work did more. Let's look over to Paul now. Paul in 2 Corinthians. He's going to describe some of the hardships he's been through. And for those of y'all, because we know Paul's been through it. Paul's been through it more than any of us will ever go through it. And we're going to look in chapter 11, verses 22 through 30. And it reads, Are they Hebrews? So am I. Are they Israelites? So am I. Are they the seed of Abraham? So am I. Are they ministers of Christ? I speak as a fool. I am more. In labors more abundant, in stripes above measure, in prisons more frequently, in deaths often. From the Jews 5 times I received 40 stripes minus 1. 3 times I was beaten with rods, once was stoned, 3 times was shipwrecked. A night and day I have been in the deep. In journeys often, in perils waters, in perils of robbers, in perils of my own countrymen, in perils of the Gentiles, in perils of the city, in perils of the wilderness, in the perils of the sea, in the perils among false brethren, in weariness and toil, in sleeplessness often, in hunger and thirst, in fastings often, in cold and nakedness. Besides the other things, what comes upon me daily, my deep concern from all churches. Who is weak, and I am not weak? Who is made to stumble, and I do not burn with indignation? If I must boast, I will boast with all things that concern my infirmity. Now, I brag a lot about how much I did, thinking that I gave my all. I wouldn't have made it through hunger and thirst, I'm going to be entirely honest, let alone shipwrecks, let alone the getting whipped. All these things that we think that we give, these people gave way more. And even to that, God gave way more with the gift of his Son. If we look over in 2 Timothy chapter 2, 2 Timothy chapter 4, verses 6 through 8, and then we'll also read 17 through 18. 6 through 8 reads, "For I am already being poured out as a drink offering, and the time of my departure is at hand. I have fought the good fight. I have finished the race. I have kept the faith. Finally, there is laid up for me a crown of righteousness, which the Lord, the righteous judge, will give me on that day. And not only me, but also those who loved his appearing." And in 17 through 18, "But the Lord stood with me and strengthened me, so that the message might be preached fully through me, and that all Gentiles might hear. Also I was delivered out of the mouth of the lion, and the Lord will deliver me from every evil work and preserve me for his heavenly King. To him be glory forever and ever. Amen." The answer to everything, the reason that God gave more, the answer is love. His love, deeper than anything the oceans can bring, higher than anything in the air and deep space, the love that he gives us is without measure. And when thinking about all the things that I did when I was young and selfish, was I doing them out of love? I was doing them to gain this reward that I thought I deserved. And getting set straight, put on the path that I needed to be on to get me to where I am today. It was the love that brought Miss Johnson to me, who taught me, be yourself up there. You don't have to be a robot. You can go be yourself and be goofy, put your name in neon lights, have a good time, because no one's going to judge you for it. It's Brother Tony's love that though it was tough, though I may or may have not shed a tear or two, it is the first step that got me up here. The first step that even gave me a chance to speak as I do today. I was timid. I probably would be to this day. But it's their love that gave me these opportunities. It's love in Honduras when I went on the last mission trip. It was the love of the families in a hospital that I saw. Not asking why God is my child here. Not asking why is this happening to us, but happy that they have a second chance. And now he may have tore a tear to going into an emergency room of children when you're not supposed to and meeting all these people. That'll break a man down. Places I've gone, opportunities I've had, it was the love of God that gave them to me. When I was in Panama, there was a day off, as much as a mission trip can give. It was a couple hours, and everybody went on up to the waterfall that they had there in Panama, and they were going to go jump off. They were going to go swimming, and I was real hyped. I loved it. I was going to go cliff diving. I was going to go have a great time until one of the interns called me over, and he said, "Hey, do you mind to come translate for me?" And it was what I was there for. I was there to translate. It's going to be a quick little thing. Just come on over. We're going to go into town. We're going to buy some supplies. Then you can go do whatever. Sure. We go into town, and then 6 hours later, everybody's back, exhausted, having the best time of their life. And here I am, holding 2 chickens, about to put them into a chicken coop that I helped build. Missed the entire day, but it didn't really matter. Because I saw the love in that intern who said, I'm not taking a day off when there's work to be done. There's always more work to be done. I was always raised, and it being Father's Day, I'm not going to look for brownie points. I was raised with a grandfather who would go out on Saturdays in a little neighborhood he lived in. He'd go on his bicycle with a bag and a little pick, and he'd go pick up trash off the side of the road so his neighborhood didn't look so bad. He didn't do it because he wanted the praise from his neighbors. Most of them didn't even know he did it because he did it so early in the morning. He wanted to show that work can be done. There's always work to be done. I was fast asleep on the couch. He'd be back with bags full of cans and full of trash, and we'd spend hours just crushing cans, and then we'd take them to the aluminum, we'd make money, and it was a great feeling. And it wasn't about the money, but the feeling of accomplishment, the work that we did. Young me should have gave a little bit older me a lesson on why we give. Father, minister here, probably gives more than anybody gives him credit for. More than I give him credit for. He spends hours in the hospital with people. He gives everyone calls when they're not here. I couldn't ask for a better example on why to give, on why giving is meant to be with love. I wanted to embarrass him so bad. I wanted to embarrass him. I wanted to. I couldn't do it. He's an example that I needed. God's love showed so much. Putting me in this family, with this family at Concord, on how to give with love and why love is so important. This is bad. I cry a lot worse, I promise. It can get bad. Don't let me watch Coco again. I promise I'll break down. We have the ultimate representation of loving God as He gave Jesus. To give your son, to give up his life. We couldn't ask for a better example. Romans chapter 5. I'll get it together, I promise. Romans chapter 5, verse 6. For when we were still without strength, in due time Christ died for the ungodly. For scarcely a righteous man will die, yet perhaps for a good man someone would even dare to die. But God demonstrates His own love towards us, in that while we were still sinners, Christ died for us. Much more than having been justified by His own blood, we shall be saved from the wrath through His blood. For if when we were enemies we were reconciled to God through the death of His Son, much more, having been reconciled, we should be saved by His life. And not only that, but we also rejoice in God, the Lord Jesus Christ, through whom we have received reconciliation. I walked these halls saying I wasn't going to cry. I was going to do this big joke on them, and I was going to make fun of them, but gosh, what an example. No, not perfect. I'm going to tell you, not perfect. Snores like a monster. But I'll tell you, he's a great example. And my grandfather was also a great example. Young me, baby me, would have been a little bit disappointed with middle school me. Me now is a little bit disappointed because everything was I want. And now everything that happens is because it's what I need. Things that happen to me, I no longer question if I'm doing it for gain. I'll do things behind people's back just to do them because I know they need a little bit of help. And I'm not looking for a reward. I'm getting my reward. I'm going to heaven. I'm getting my mansion, my robe, and my crown. I'm getting it all because everything I do now, I do with love. And no matter how much love I think I give, I got to remember that He gave more. He always will give more. He is the giving tree. That no matter how many times we come back to Him, we could take all the apples, the branches, the trunk, the roots, the soil, everything. No matter how many times we come back, He will always give more. And it's with that we can be unstoppable. Because there's no limit to what we can do. I will never forget being at Clean the World. We were here with a group from Alabama, and I've never seen a bunch of people so happy to scrape hair, gum, and everything off of bars of soap, because it didn't matter why they were here. They were given back out of love. And as long as we remember that no matter what, He will always give more. Man, I told myself, I'm going to save this joke for next time so he can beware. And Brother Brent, I didn't forget you. I'm getting your face on Hercules or something next time I speak. I told you I would. And I wanted to get Brother Tony, but he wasn't here, man. We're blessed above measure. I appreciate the opportunity to be asked to speak again. And I hope that whenever you give, that you give from your heart, give with love, and give because we've been given the great example of giving. If there's anything we can help you with tonight, please come as we stand and as we sing the invitation song.